Hello beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. Pots and Petals here, everything garden and allotment related. I'm just standing in amongst the squash at the moment. It's a beautiful morning, not too hot, not too cold, but autumn is certainly on the way. And just look at those beautiful sunflowers bobbing around in the sky, absolutely stunning. So there's a few main things I'd like to try and get done today. That is clear the new seating area, finish that off, and then we can start digging up some of those stinger nettles. Got loads of tomatoes and French beans to harvest as well, and I'd also like to get those Echinacea and daylilies planted up so they can start putting their roots into the soil ready for overwinter. So we'll get those planted in today, but they are really my three top jobs. Anything else is a plus. So let's just crack on and see what we can get done. So let's start with one of the easy jobs and plant up the Echinacea and the daylilies. Now down at the other end I've got loads of yellows and oranges clashing with some beautiful pinks and purples. So I want to continue that all the way down this border. The only thing that I have at the moment is the yellow rudbeckia and then the pink sedum, which should be out in a couple of weeks. But I'd like a little bit more colour for the late summer and autumn down in this corner. I've also got to think about what I'm going to do with that pear tree. It's been there probably for about 2-3 years now and I've never got any pears and it hasn't done well at all. So I am thinking about removing that, maybe popping it down into the new seating area, and I can really start thinking about how to use that space because I think the hydrangea would look beautiful there. Now down this end I do have 3 daylilies already. Now they are planted quite close together. I did move them from another area of the garden where they weren't getting much sunlight, and that's the only spot where I had to put them. 2 of them are still sulking, so they haven't flowered for me this year, so I don't want to really move them just yet. So I'll leave them where they are and we can plant up some daylilies down at this end. Trying to use the same colours, the same colour palette, but also the same plants throughout a border will just help to create that repeating pattern in your design. I'm going for that cottage garden style, but I like all the really clashing colours. I always try and pick up sort of plants in 2, 3s or 4s, unless it's a really structural plant or maybe something unusual. With those sort of plants you just buy the one. So just start by playing around, popping them into the border, keep them in their pots, don't dig any holes just yet, and see where you think they look best. Try and remember that the smaller, more daintier plants you want towards the front of your border, and then the much bigger, taller plants towards the back. I'd also say any fragrant plants, try and bring them closer towards the front of the border as you'll be able to brush past them and smell them more often. And fragrant plants also work great in a seating area. So let's have a little play around with these Echinacea and these daylilies and see where they look best. Yep, I'm happy with that arrangement. When you are planting them around, do take a look at it from all different angles. So yeah, I'm happy. All we've got to do now is dig them in and give them a real nice watering in. There we go, it's starting to look like one border now rather than 2 different borders, with all the pinks and the yellows and oranges working their way all the way through. Right, now let's do the hard work and start on the nettle area again. Similar to yesterday, we're just going to clear this area down, and then once we've cleared this bit, the same as around the corner, I can then start digging it over and removing all of those nettle roots. Let's see what we can get done then. I think you'll find this on any allotment nowadays, but it's that horrible plastic material that comes apart in pieces. So it's all underneath this earth, so I'm just going to try and dig away some of that soil and then try and remove it in one piece rather than ripping it all up. That's one thing I really dislike about plastic, is that it just stays around forever, and you find crisp packets, bottle lids, all sorts for years and years. 20p, so you know they're going to be old because nothing's 20p nowadays, but 2017 best before, so they're probably what, from 2015-16, means that they're crisps. I absolutely hate it. Take it home with you, please. It's actually really disheartening to see so much plastic in one place. Look, it's even starting to grow in amongst the roots of the nettles. I'm just pulling it apart, but it's all just stuck between all the plants. So many threads of this blue stuff all amongst the soil. So because a lot of this is going onto the new compost heap, I am being really careful with what I'm putting on there, but I just don't think I'm going to use it in the vegetable beds. So this compost will be just for the flower beds. It's just really infuriating that someone can let this amount of plastic build up in such a small area. Well, we've managed to clear that area. I probably spent more time picking up bits of blue plastic than I did doing anything else. But we've got it cleared. I've come to the conclusion that I'm not going to be able to get all of that plastic out. It is really disheartening to see all of that plastic, but it's just one of those things, unfortunately. I was going to plan on digging it over, but I've sort of lost a little bit of interest in the corner today, so I will pick this up probably tomorrow or maybe next weekend, and I need to start digging it all over so that we can start removing all of those weeds. And then once the hard work is done, that's when we can start planning and designing a little bit. Oh, and you might have noticed that I popped up that screen on the other side of the compost. That's just to stop it spilling over into this space now, just to make it a little bit more neater and tidier, and it's got all of that airflow through that wire mesh. All I've used is an old broomstick handle that came off, so I've just hammered that into the ground one end, and then the other end is just an old bit of metal pole that I found. It's all about recycling. We've got the first little blooms starting to open. They just look so exotic and prehistoric, like they belong in the dinosaur times. We've actually got 2 in flower at the moment. Now the only problem is that they do die off once they're flowered, but don't worry, they should be giving off all these tiny little pups that should root around, and they'll soon start to take over. House leeks or hens and chicks, whichever you call them, they flower every 3 to 5 years unless they're stressed out, so these obviously didn't like the move into this pot. All the others seem to be absolutely fine. They're starting to spread, and the little Louisa, that's out in flower here, that's the little white dainty flower, and it's all starting to come together really nicely. After we've had a good bit of rain, it's always worth just going to check on any water butts or any water systems that you have collecting rainfall, because I have been down here before and this has all been knocked off and I haven't known for how long. Just go round, make sure that it's all watertight and that your water butts are filling up nicely. And guys, if you make your own poly house, make sure that your roof has got a decent slope so you're not having to deal with this. You know the drill. Let's give it a push and get it all off. That was a rainstorm and a half, but at least I haven't got to worry about watering for a couple of days now. But anyway, we have got a little update from Hospital and Cutting Corner, and I've got a few plants here that I'm just going to run through. Firstly, we've got the Echinacea, which is the deep purple black foliage plant at the back there. It's already given me one great big new leaf and a few smaller ones too. When they first start, they're like this lime green colour with a blend of the purpley black. But give it a month or two and that will be coming home with me, as it does not like the frost or the winter. I'm chuffed with all the leaves that it's already given me, and it's just a stunning architectural plant. They get to about 4 foot tall. I've just got to be able to get it through each winter. Then, if you remember, we got the coreopsis. So this was a discounted plant. I think I got it for like £2 or £3, and we managed to split it into 3 separate plants. Each of them are already starting to bulk up, and there's quite a few buds starting to form, and we've even got one in bloom. So I'm really chuffed with how we've managed to get 3 plants out of that, and they all seem to be doing absolutely great. Then at the front here, we've got some of the pineberry runners. So these had already started to root in the soil, so we've just potted them up. I didn't think that we'd have any issues with these, and we've already got loads of new growth and leaves starting to form from the centre, which tells me that they've rooted absolutely fine. Like I say, they can be a bit of a thug. I'm going to be giving these away because I have got plenty of pineberries myself. Once you've got just a few runners, you'll never have to worry about buying any more plants. You'll get plenty from them. Then we've got the rose cuttings, which we only took, a week ago, and there's already new little buds starting to form on some of these nodules. They're these tiny little pink things that you can see just here, so that's telling me that they've rooted absolutely fine, so we should get 4 plants out of this easily. And do you remember the little rose that I found in the seating area that was growing out of the bark? Well, I dug it up and I potted it on, and it seems to be coming on absolutely fine. We've got some new growth in there and some new buds starting to form, so I'm looking forward to seeing what this actually turns into, because it could just be a weed. And finally, we've got the fuchsia cuttings. So we do seem to have a few that have started to take. We've got some new growth starting to come out of the nodules there, so we'll keep an eye on them closely along with the rose cuttings. With your cuttings, you don't want to overwater, you don't want to underwater, so do keep an eye on them. So we should have quite a few little plants to add into the garden next year. Let's harvest all the ripe tomatoes. I don't think the cucumbers are going to be doing much more, and it looks like we're now about to get some more rain, so I'm going to stay in here and just harvest these tomatoes up. I left me trug at home, so we've had to deal with a cardboard box for now, but pretty good little harvest. I'm doing this every 5 days. We're going to leave the runner beans until tomorrow morning. You'd never think it was the same day, eh? British weather. Anyway, that's all we've got time for today, folks. I can see another storm starting to brew in the far distance, so I want to get home before that comes over. But we've managed to sort out that area. I just now need to dig over properly to get all those roots out. I did spend a little bit more time than what I wanted on getting those plastic bits out, but it's just one of those things that I'm going to have to come to terms with, and I won't be growing any crops around there at all. We've harvested some of the tomatoes. I'll leave the runner beans until tomorrow, and we've also sorted out that flower border down at the front, so that's looking a lot more colourful than what it was. And then a little update from hospital and cut and corner as well. I am going to pop down tomorrow, but not for very long, so I'll bring you guys along just to get a few little bits done, but I've got a few things that I want to do at home. Don't worry guys, I will be back next weekend, and then I enter some holiday, so I haven't got work for a couple of weeks, so hopefully I can get some more content out to you guys. And who knows, there might even be a trip away again. So I hope you've all had a lovely week wherever you are in the world, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. I do like to hear from you guys, and I'll see you soon. See you later. Bye bye.